Introducing Requiem Solus. Solus is an intimate collection of 5 highly classically trained soloists, which can be played either as standalone or together as a quintet, or together with our full Requiem Nova choir. Solus is comprised of 5 different solo voices. Each of them were recorded individually in the same grand acoustic space that we use for the full Nova choir, namely the beautiful St. Paul's Stone Cathedral in San Francisco. We used exactly the same Neumann mics, same positioning, same placement, so that all the solo voices would match each other, and of course the full Nova choir as well. Solus was made by handpicking the 5 most prominent voices from Nova. We have one pure lyrical soprano, a slightly warmer mezzo-soprano, the vulnerable vibrato of the tenor of course, to a powerful baritone tenor, and just to wrap it up, we also got the depth of a heartfelt bass. Each of the soloists are singing these timeless Latin phrases. Everything is symmetrical and designed to be used together. But perhaps most importantly is that Solus is about what I like to call emotional realism in the samples. Everything is fully playable, but this is a first for me in terms of having a quintet of highly classically trained singers right at my fingertips. Welcome to Solus. If we briefly look at the directory structures of the choirs, we'll notice the full Nova choir here, and then Requiem Solus right underneath it. The same microphones, closed like a FAR, and then a bunch of experiments. In this video, we're obviously mostly going to focus on Requiem Solus, but as I mentioned, they are compatible, and I'll demonstrate that towards the later part of the video as well, how we can use the Solus choir with the Nova choir as well. So the way we've organized Solus is by microphones, and underneath the microphones, you can either choose the individual singers here, baritone, bass, 2 sopranos, and tenor, or we can use the key switches. In this case here right now, I got a key switch patch loaded here for soprano 1. Right now she's singing Apocalypse, or Apocalypse in Latin. It's so elegant how professional classically trained singers work under pronunciation of words. Just check that like rolling R. This is so pretty. Now, if we go back to Apocalypse, for example, let me show you what that sounds like with all 5 singers. So the baritone, the bass, both sopranos and the tenor all combined. As I mentioned, we have these ensemble patches here. So in this case here, all 5 singers are loaded in. All the key switches are active, and it sounds like this. Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. Down here, you probably heard a synth bass. That's coming from our analog film bass. Let's come back to this beautiful Crucifixus. I love the way that Crucifixus is ending. So when I heard that sort of ooze at the very end, I was like, oh, let me try to isolate that and create like almost like a paddy synth out of it. Just that sound here. But by clicking here and going into what we call one-note stretch, I just isolated a single note, and now that's playable across the entire keyboard. It's a little bit synthy, but it has sort of a vintage vibe to it. And combined with a few other instruments, something like this. It's just cute. We got the keyboard pad. We got a little bit of guitar from our acoustic strummer, Instant Acoustic. And the Black 55, which is an old vintage drum machine. And then a little bit of bass coming from our Arp 2600. Solus is comprised of two different singers. We have Soprano 1 and Soprano 2, which is a little bit warmer, more in the mezzo-soprano style. And here's her version of the infamous Crucifixus. Now, up to this point, we've been playing the phrases just by holding down the keys. But let's say that you're singing incarnatus, but you sort of want to shape your chords based on where they are in the chords. So maybe you start with 1 when you're saying in ca, and then you shift to another chord where it says natus. The way you can get around that in Soundpaint is that you can load the same part multiple times. You'll notice here that we have incarnatus loaded 3 times here. And then based on which one I'm using, we'll notice that the offset values here are a little bit different for each of them. So I'm going into the phrase here on the other ones, allowing me to cut out certain proportions and then just use key switches to switch between them. So the full phrase is... But let's say I wanted to play something like this in terms of shaping the words at the right time. Right now, it's not going to be exactly what we want, but just hang in there with me. We can hear it's the same phrase, but if we use the key switches here, we'll now be utilizing offset going into the phrase. Right now, he's not singing in ca, just like natus. And depending on how granular you want to go, you can add 8 parts in and do this trick if you really want to be choppy. But in this case here, I'm just using 3 different versions of the same phrase here. But check this out here. This is combining different phrases together. So before we heard the same phrase played with multiple chords, but you can also just alternate between the phrases. And if you ever need a phrase to match a rhythm, play a little bit here with the ragtime module. It's fascinating. Listen to vibrato in slow motion. This is actually his natural vibrato, but slowed down. Check it out here in normal speed. That very dramatic vibrato is essentially almost a full trill. And it gets a little bit faster once we push time here. We also created a variety of experimental patches that you're going to find in the Experiments folder. For example, this is the Arp Bubbly Soprano. Check out here what happens when I take the second soprano and let her sing normally on top of the arp. Here's another example of an arpeggiated soprano. And the bass is actually coming from the singer herself as well. I went into EQ5 here and highlighted the bass frequencies like ever before, and that will highlight some of the basses, and then actually just playing octaves below to generate basses. And again, just like before, I was like, I like the vibe here. Let me just try to add soprano 1 now, singing normal on top of the arpeggiator. If we briefly look here at the parts in Solus, to which there are many, we'll notice that they're divided into baritone, bass, soprano 1, soprano 2, and tenor down here. There's a lot of material. Let me just briefly show you the different microphone positions as well. I'm just going to turn off the reverb here so you can hear it in a raw condition. In this example, I loaded the baritone Keyswitches here. He's singing Crucifixus. But I wanted to have control over each part of Crucifixus using the same trick as before in terms of having the same articulation loaded multiple times, which is why you see Crucifixus here on 4, 5, and 6. Love the soft character of the baritone. In this case here, I also took the dominum articulation and spread it across 3 different parts, again using the offset trick here. Here's the Solus bass. this example, we got soprano 1 complementing the full Nova choir down here. As I mentioned at the beginning, the two are designed to be used together. They're recorded in the same room. I handpicked the 5 best singers from the Nova choir for the soloist ensemble. So this is just an example of the solo soprano singing Resurrecte and then matching that with the Nova choir singing the same. And just so you can hear what's what, I'm going to move the paint button here in real time so you can hear what's the solo singer. And just one more example. This is the dramatic tenor singing Apocalypse together with the choir, and then just a few key switches here and there, shaking it up.